All right, now we're going to take a look at multiplying fractions. So let's take a look at the rule first, followed by some examples. All right, so the rule for multiplying fractions is simply to multiply across the top and across the bottom. So we have 3/4 times 5/7. So if I multiply across the top, 3 times 5 is 15. And across the bottom, 4 times 7 is 28. So the answer is 15/28. In example 2a, we're going to actually take a look at this problem twice. It's the same problem. You can see 4/9 times 3/2. What we have here is on top, 4 times 3 is 12. On the bottom, 9 times 2 is 18. But if you look at 12 over 18, you might see that we can reduce this. They're both divisible by 2. They're both divisible by 3, and they're both divisible by 6. So if I divide both 12 and 18 by 6, 12 divided by 6 is 2, and then 18 divided by 6 is 3. So the answer is going to be 2/3. Now, what I'm going to show you in example 2b only works with multiplication of fractions. You can only do this when you multiply fractions. I call this cross-canceling or cross-reducing if you want to. If you look at the diagonals, we have 4 and 2 here. They're both divisible by 2. 2 divides into 2 once. 2 divides into 4 twice. Then if you look at the other diagonal, we have 3 and 9. They're both divisible by 3. 3 divides into 3 once, and 3 divides into 9 3 times. So the new fractions we have are 2 over 3 and 1 over 1. So when you multiply across the top, we have 2 times 1, which is 2, and then 3 times 1 is 3. So you can see we got the same answer, but we reduced prior to the multiplication. And once again, you can only cross-cancel or cross-reduce when you are multiplying fractions together. Now, you might ask yourself, well, what is the benefit of doing this? Well, when the numbers get larger than what we have here, it's a lot easier to reduce early on than it is later on. So let's go ahead and take a look at more examples. Now, here's a good example of what I was just talking about. If we were to multiply across the top, we have 15 times 8. That's a pretty decent sized number, but 24 times 35 is certainly a large number. But look what we can do on the diagonals. We can cross-cancel. What goes into both 15 and 35? And that answer is 5. 5 divides into 15 3 times. 5 divides into 35 7 times. Then we have on the other diagonal, we have 24 and 8. They're both divisible by 8. Now, if you chose a smaller number like 4 or something like that, which also works, you would just at the end need to reduce again. But 8 divides into 8 once. 8 divides into 24 3 times. Well, if you look at what we have here, we also on the left have 3 over 3. We can certainly reduce there. Let me move this up just a little bit. So reducing 3 over 3 is equal to 1 over 1. 3 divides into 3 once, into the other 3 one time. So what we have left is on top 1 times 1, which is 1. On the bottom, we have 1 times 7, which is 7. So let's go ahead and check this on the calculator just to make sure that we got the correct answer. We'll type in the 15 over 24, move to the right, and then say times 8 over 35. And it confirms we got the right answer. So if you have a different version of this calculator or just even a graphing calculator, a lot of them will work on the fractions for you now. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at example number 4. You'll notice that we are now multiplying together 3 fractions. Once again, if you wanted to by rule, you could multiply across the top and across the bottom. You would get these big numbers, and then from that point you would have to reduce. It's a lot easier to reduce right now beforehand. So just look on any diagonal that you want. For example, we could reduce the 20 with the 5, or we could reduce the 20 with the 10. It doesn't matter where they are as long as they're on opposite sides of the fraction bars. In other words, as long as one's on top and the other one's on the bottom, you're good to go. So one thing I notice here is I can cancel the 10 and the 20. 10 goes into 10 once. It goes into 20 2 times. What about on another diagonal here? We have the 21 and the 14. Well, they're both divisible by 7. 7 goes into 21 3 times. 7 goes into 14 twice. And then maybe we can see the 3 on the diagonal. One's on top and the other one's on the bottom. So the 3 divides into 3 once, and it divides into the other 3 one time. Nothing else will reduce. We have 1 times 5 times 1, which is 5. Then on the bottom, 2 times 2 times 1, which is 4. So that gives us 5/4. Now that answer is also equivalent to the mixed number 1 and 1/4, but either answer should be fine. So I grabbed my calculator just to double check my answer, and you can see that we got 5/4, and it's the same answer we got over here. So don't forget, the only time we're allowed to cross cancel or cross reduce is when we're multiplying. You cannot do this with addition, subtraction, or division. It's only with multiplication.